Southern Germany has been hit by relating after a violent hailstorm battered Bavaria, shattered with windows, damaged rooftops, and leaving residents standing by the scale of destruction. The storm swept across the region with little warning, unleashing hailstones the large of tennis ball. Streets in Munich, Augsburg, and surrounding towns were carpeted in ice, with the cars were left dented with white shifts smashed. It was like gunfire from the sky, said Klaus Richter, a resident of Augsburg. A hospital treated dozens of people to their cars, burst and hit injuries. Children and elderly were most affected, with the emergency responded rushing to provide shelter in a school and a sports hall in the rural area. The storm was equally devastated. Groups of borzoi, maize, and a vineyard across Bavaria were pumped, with farmers reported losses that could total tens of millions of euros. Transport ground to the Kiel, trains were delayed, the stock were blocked, fallen branches that the breeze were part of Munich airport were disrupted due to damaged aircraft and poor visibility. Highway torn hazards with the multiple accidents caused the slippery and ice-covered roads. Tourists were also cut off in the chaos. Visitors to Neuschwanstein Castle and Bavaria, farmers Alpine village showed a dramatic image for the hail pumping up for the snowdrifts, with local accompanying the summer storm to the winter blizzards. Meteorologists explained that the hailstorm was triggered by unstoppable air masses colliding the southern Germany, intensified by record summer heat. Climate experts warn the extreme hail events are becoming more frequent across the Europe, pressing homes, agriculture, and infrastructure under increasing threat. Farmers in Lower Saxony reported devastation, losses in their crops and greenhouses, and about destroyed it. Insurance experts warned that the damage could be cost millions, placing in additional body and economy elderly and person. Germany Chancellor Olaf Scholz expressed condolences of the family to the victims and promised swift federal aid. "We stand together in the face of this catastrophe," he said, adding the climate adaptation must become a national priority. Meteorologists warn the storm and the magnitude may become more frequent as a warning season to call unstoppable weather across North Europe. At the dam, rescue operations continue in flooded town in the mountains valley, with the soldiers, firefighters, and volunteers working side by side. For many Germans, in storm will be remembered not only the force but a stark reminder of the growing risk of climate change. A powerful Atlantic storm swept across much of Europe, bringing hurricane-force winds, torrential rain, and chaos in several countries, from the Atlantic coast of France and inland cities in Germany. Millions of people forced transport disruption, and emergency service worked at full capacity. In France, wild gusts exceeded 115 km/h, knocked down trees, cut power to more than 400,000 homes, and forced several airports to close. It sounded like a fire train was passing through our streets, said Louis Martin, the residents of Brittany, where roads are blocked overnight. Southern Germany was hit by severe flooding when rivers burst their banks. In Bavaria, rescue evacuated dozens of residents by boat after the local dam threatened to overflow. "We never seen the water rise too fast," explained it firefighters. Karl Neumann, rail service in the region remains severely disrupted. In the Netherlands, authorities temporarily closed its section to famous Afsluitdijk dam due to fear and a coastal wave. Meanwhile, Poland and Czech Republic reported widespread hailstorm that severely damaged cars and groups. Several metro lines, including lines 1, 4, and 13, experienced major destruction as the water swept in the station. Communities forced long delay with their rapid urgent residents to avoid necessary travel. Power outage left more than 25,000 homes in the dark, particularly in the Paris southern suburbs. The storm also damaged parts in the ELF tower lighting system, forcing engineers to shut it off to safety inspirations. Lighting stuck near Notre Dame Cathedral, creating dramatic by the homeless flash captured by onlookers. Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo urged calm, praising first response to their swift action. "Our city was forced to severe weather before, but the intensity of the last night's storm show how climate change is amplifying these events," she said. "We will assist all those affected. They struggled our flood resilience." Meteorologists described the storm as one of the most violent in decades as a result of a powerful Atlantic depression scalding with warm continental air from the northern France. Experts warn that such extreme weather events could become more frequent if Europe's climate continues to warm. By morning, Parisians emergency to survive the damaged streets, literally the branches flooded, cave terrace, and disrupted train schedule. Yet a month aftermath when also relief, clear skies returned the city resilient spirit shone through the once again. Meanwhile, firefighters from all over Italy were sent to reinforce refuse force. Social media is flooded with the images and dramatic rescue operations. Children begin lifted from rooftops, elderly people begin to carry out throughout the waist-deep water, and pain being saved from the daunting. The hashtag Sicilia Scotta Aqua were become popular throughout the country. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni expressed its solidarity with the region, promising no community will be left without the help. "We will rebuild our support every affected family." Experts warn that the Mediterranean region is becoming increasingly vulnerable to such storm. In the recent report by European Environmental Agency, Sicily was identified as a climate hotspot facing rising sea levels, heat waves, and now extreme rainfall. As the sky begins to clear, attention turned to recover. Damage assessment, no ongoing to questions are being raised about the urban planning drainage system and early warning protocols. But for many Sicilians, healing will take no longer. As a Giulia Manga, whose home was destroyed, it said with the tears here years. "We survived but not lost everything. Now we have started all over again." A ferocious hailstorm hit Sicily on a Wednesday. City residents and tourists feeling the streets were transformed into the city torrents. Cities including Palermo, Catania and Messina facing torrential rain hailstorms up to golf ball size and a gale strong enough to apron trees and damaged rooftop. Local eyewitness Gianni Russo described the scene. It was a chaos, hail bouncing off cars, warning the rise in a minute. People were running to cover and noise were left under multiple tender. Emergency service reported over 400 calls for the rapid motorists, fallen branches and damaged property. Several small rivers overflowed, forcing evacuation in low-light districts. Historic neighborhoods were not spared. Streets in Palermo town were flooded with iconic squares like Pisa Petronia and other particularly damaged. Hail pelted centuries-old buildings, leaving shattered rooftops and dented houses in the wake. Agriculture in Sicily took a severe hit. Vineyards, olive groves and citrus orange in Catania and Saragossa provinces suffered massive losers. Farmer Luca Bianchi said, "Our entire harvest is destroyed in a matter of minutes." The hail was relentless. Rail operation Deutsche Buch reported widespread disruption in the several increasingly trains cancelled or rerouted. In Nuremberg, streets were covered and the hailstorm that sized Boll and Augsburg. Thousands of people were left without power overnight due to power outage. Meteorologist Dr. Leon Weber from the DVD explained, "This was not a typical summer storm. We observed a rare combination of typical Mershu and Arctic air masses cold over Central Europe, creating a line of severe thunderstorm and destructive winds. The storm also caused enormous damage to agriculture, especially in southern region, where field barley where the corn were destroyed just weeks before harvest. Agriculture unions are calling for emergency aid to compensate the damage, which could run into €1,000,000. German Interior Ministry Nancy Faeser posted the heroic work of firefighters and rescue teams who saved dozens of people trapped by the flood. She also warned that such extreme weather events are becoming more frequent, linking the trend and ongoing climate change in Europe. Tourist areas included Taormina were temporarily evacuated. In the boats of the harbor were secured against the winds and waves. Meteorologists explained that the storm was uploaded by the Mediterranean low-pressure system, cooling with a humid warm air from Africa. This combination produced extremely violent storm in a short time, said Dr. Antonio Latour, a weather expert in Sicily. Experts alike the becoming more frequent due to climate change. Agriculture losers are expected to be significant, with the olive groves, vineyard and citrus orange damaged by the hail flooding. Local farmers have already called for the emergency relief and the offsite and economic impact. Authority urged residents to remain indoors, avoid flooded roads and follow emergency advisory. Mayor Lever Orlando stressed by the importance of immediate cleanup efforts of reinforced to need the better flood prevention infrastructure across Italy. As the storm subsided, Sicilian surveyed for the damage, cleared debris and braced for the next birth and unpredictable weather, a stark reminder of the island's vulnerability to extreme Mediterranean storms. A powerful storm hit Sicily. Italy caused severe weather conditions that resulted in widespread destruction across the island. The storm, characterized by heavy rain, gale force winds, led to widespread flooding, power outage and extensive damage to infrastructure. Local authorities report that the crises of Catania and Palermo have been hit by hardest heat. In Catania, streets turned into rivers. and water level rose in 3 drilling years. The historic city center, which usually turned to tourists, is now eerily quiet. Emergency service tried to cope with the field. Video shared on social media showed cars submerged and residents walking throughout the waist-deep water. The meteorological service has recorded widespread up to 100 km/h, which further agriculture to station. Trees have been uprooted, roofs have been ripped off buildings, and debris is scattered to roadway, making the travel dangerous. The regional government has issued a red alert, urging residents to stay at home and avoid unnecessary travel. In Palermo, the storm led to similar extent to chaos. In local airport was temporarily closed due to flooding of runway, leading to flight cancellation and delays. We are dealing with a widespread roof damaging power outage, said Bavarian Fire Chief Markus Keller, who described the situation as apocalyptic. In southern France, vineyard and orange severely damaged, with some region reported a total loss of crops. Farmers in province of Rhône-Alpes region experienced a disaster after huge hailstones destroyed their vineyards. The storm took everything. Laminate Windmark Palt Gerard, the harvest we have been waiting for all year, is gone. In Central and Eastern Europe, hailstorm intensified. In Poland, the city of Krakow was hit by torrential rain, with freezing rain that flooded streets and damaged cars. In Austria, large hailstones caused flights, delays, and forced airports at the close temperatures. Meteorologists attributed this storm weather is unstable atmospheric layers, which are intensified due to global warming. Europe is now experiencing for more connective storms, phenomena accompanied by supercell lightning and giant hailstones, explained Dr. Petra Long in European Meteorological Observatory. This is not a longer rarity, is becoming part of new normal. Authorities across the continent continue to assess the damage, warning the future determination is weather conditions, while cleanup crews work to repair the damage caused by the ice storm. Many residents describe the surreal scene. Summer streets transformed into winter landscape in a matter of minutes. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni expressed her condolences and promised immediate government support. We will not leave Sicily alone with this tragedy. The flood also caused significant economic damage. Vineyards, citrus grove, and olive farms are blackboard on Sicily economy, where flooded and agriculture groups warn of millions in losers. Businesses in the historic center of Palermo may be closed for the weeks and a half a month. The Italian Meteorological Service has linked in disaster to the Mediterranean and Mediterranean cyclones similar to the Tryphon storm. Since when the climate change is exacerbating such phenomena as a warning sea contributing to heavier rains and a violent storm. Residents clearing debris are in shock. Standing outside the damaged barrier, Rosa Conte said, Sicily is used to the hardship, but this is something else. We cannot fight this our own. As Sicily slowly begins to dry up, the real lesson of the storm is being recovered not only in blizzards but also in dialogue and the growing average in the Mediterranean Sea. One of the candle is calm sea as sunny skies is becoming of the epicenter of the climate disaster. Experts call this a turning point to the urge Southern European government is invest in the climate resilience. Coastal cities such as Palermo and Catania, densely populated, are reaching a culture heritage, particularly vulnerable to rising sea levels, increasing rainfall to heat waves. The Mediterranean Sea is warming 20% faster than the global average, said Dr. Elena Morandi, the climate researcher of University of Rome. This storm was not a fluke. This is part of the trend we are seeing more intense, more frequent, more destructive. International observers from UNESCO have experienced concerns about Sicily's historical monuments, many of which were flooded or damaged during this storm. The Brockway tributaries of Noto and ancient Greek ruins are still nude, and new parts of the parts surrounding Mount Etna were affected. Coastal town in rural village in Sicily have experienced some of the worst damage. The agriculture sector, which is crucial in the island economy, have been hit hard, with the fields and cars destroyed in the rising waters. Landslides have cut off aces of several mountains region, complicating rescue efforts. The situation remains real, with the emergency crew working around the clock to respond to new incident and didn't arise. Italy is grappling with the severe flooding after days of relentless rain, particularly affected with the northern region of the country. Torrential downpour have caused rivers to swell, burst their banks and inundate towns and villages. The latest episode of flooding have left authorities struggling to cope with the growing crisis, with the thousands of people evacuated from their homes. The region of Emilia-Romagna, Lombardy and Veneto have been among the hardest hit. In Emilia-Romagna, widespread damage to infrastructure have been reported, with the roads submerged, bridges washed away and homes flooded. Several rivers, including the Po and the Agrio, have reached critical levels, forcing emergency service to respond rapidly to prevent further damage. The situation have been compounded the landslides in hilly areas, blocked roads and insulated communities. Ile-de-France region, bringing hurricane force winds, torrential rain and intense lighting that lit up the Parisian skyline. When our iconic boulevards were transformed into rivers, metro stations were flooded and thousands were left without electricity. According to Meteo France, when the gust exceeded 120 km/h in parts of the capital, with more than 16 mm of rain fell in just 3 hours, an amount normally seen over several weeks. The Seine River rose rapidly and water poured in unpressed to underground car park near the city center. I feel like the sky exploded, said Marie Larrier, a resident of Montreal district. It was a thunder every few seconds, windows shaking and water gushing through the streets like a waterfall. Emergency service received over 1,200 calls during the night, rescuing drivers trapped in submerged tunnels and responded to multiple reports of fallen trees. In the 15th arrondissement, the large earth collapsing out parked vehicles were parts of the Champs-Élysées were breathlessly closed due to debris.
Mira los bomberos, ya vienen, ya vienen.
On Tuesday evening, a powerful thunderstorm swept across Rome, Italy, bringing torrential rain, stormy winds and lightning, and plunging the capital into chaos. In a matter of minutes, the calm late summer sky turned stormy, and torrential rain pouring down the historic streets caused sudden flooding, traffic paralyzing, and widespread power outage. Widespread described the storm as apocalyptic. Cars were stuck on flooded streets around the Villa Appia and Piazza Veneto. The several metro lines were forced to close due to flooding. I saw many manhole covers are being blown by the pressure, said Julia DeSantis, owner of shop near Termini Station. The water flooded the shops faster than could back the door. Villa de Funko de Italia Fire and the Rescue Service reported more than 400 emergency calls across the capital. Troops were uprooted, debris littered major roads and parts of roofs were blown by the strong gusts of winds. In the Tresville, firefighters rescued severe residents who were trapped to their cars and the weather rose to dangerous levels. A violent storm swept through Rome, Italy, unleashed torrential rain, thunder and gale force winds and left parts of the capital flooded and paralyzed. Within a minute, narrow cobblestone streets turned into raging rivers, cars were submerged and public transport ground to the hail. It was terrified. The sky turned completely black, said Francesca Bianchi, a resident near the Vatican. The wind howled like a jet engine, and lightning struck so close it shook the windows. The sun struck during the rush hour, catching thousands of communities off guard. Firefighters received over 400 emergency calls for flooded homes. Down at trees and stranded motorists. It is a Trastevere and Ostia district. Strong winds tore off roof, titles and trooped scooters, where several metro stations were forced to close due to rising water levels. Meteorologists described the storm as one of the most intense in recent years. Flooded a sharp crash between the humid African air and the cold Atlantic currents of the central Italy. Communities across Europe are in shock after a series of rare and powerful tornadoes swept through the parts of Germany, France and Czech Republic, leaving widespread destruction in their wake. Authorities have confirmed numerous casualties and more than 200 injured, with the homes destroyed, cars overturned and power lines down it. Western Germany was the hardest hit, with the powerful wind which swept throughout the residential area, poured down, injured dozens of people and damaged hundreds of buildings. Roofs were turned off, trees were uprooted and debris was scattered across highways. It was like a freight train rushing throughout the city, said Catherine Miller, who took shelter in a basement with their family. In northern France, a tornado struck near Calais, overturned trucks on the A18 motorway and forcing several paths to close. Residents are decided chaos in the hail, lightning and stones wind battered cities already drenched in the heavy rain. The Czech Republic, still recent from the devastation tornado in 2021, reported another severe storm in southern Bavaria, where homes and farms again destroyed it. Emergency service rushed to help stranded residents and volunteers working through the night to clear debris from narrow rural streets. Meteorologists say the tornadoes formed after the mass of hot Mediterranean air collided with a cold front moving from the Arctic, creating unstoppable conditions ideal to supercell storms. Experts warn that the climate change could make Europe more vulnerable to such rare but devastating events. Tornadoes were once considered almost impossible here, explained climatologist Dr. Helena Novak. Now they are becoming a dangerous new reality. The infrastructure of the three countries suffered serious damage. Rail service was suspended, tens of thousands of people were left without power due to power outage, and schools were closed to several regions. Insurance companies estimate the damage in the hundreds of millions of euros. Despite the devastation, there are stories of resilience. Neighbors formed human change of cleared debris, firefighters rescued trapped families, and the shelters opened their doors to lose their homes. As Europe begins the long process of recovery, the tornado several stock reminded that extreme weather is no longer confined to remote regions. It now processes to grow through to here to the continent. In just a few hours, some areas received more rainfall than they normally do into entire month. Schools and government official and affected areas were closed to precautions and civil protection until the disrupted to assess the damage and assist in cleanup. In Palermo, several unprecedented where flooded rapid cars and landslides were reported in towns located on hills. Experts warned that such intense and frequent storms could become normal in southern Italy. Climatologists are urging authorities and citizens to strengthen infrastructure and emergency preparedness on the Mediterranean region continue to face the worsened effect of global warming. As Italy begins the cleanup, the storm severals are not yet another stark reminder on a growing instability of the nature and urgent need to action to ensure environmental sustainability. A sudden and severe hailstorm swept across southern Poland, leaving scene of destruction in its wake and prompted urgent calls to help. The storm, which struck on a Monday evening, battered towns and villages with a hailstone the size of walnuts, smashing windows, damaged cars, and distorted crops in the middle of the harvest season. Farmers in the Motopolska and Podkarpacia region reported catastrophic losses. In the 10 minutes, everything he had worked in the year was destroyed, said Porent Nowak, a farmer from the near Tarnów. The fields looked and someone had chopped them up with the knees. Agriculture representative estimated hundreds of hectares of corn, potatoes and orange have been destroyed, with the could lead higher food prices in the coming month. Residents described chaos and the hail-pounded roofs and blanket drain caused sudden flooding in the city streets. Emergency service responded to hundreds of calls, and a fire crews worked through the night and cleared debris and secured damaged homes. Fortunately, no deaths were reported, although several people suffered minor injuries from the broken glass. Local authorities are assessing the damage with estimated to be tens of millions of euros. The Polish Meteorological Institute was warned for the Celtic cold more storms in the coming days are unstoppable weather continue to prevail in Central Europe. Climatologists note in the frequency of such extreme weather events in increasing. Hailstorms of this intensity used to be a rare phenomenon, but climate change is affecting weather conditions across the continent, said Dr. Marta Zelinska and the climatologist of University of Warsaw. For many, recovery will belong to difficult. We will build everything, but it seems that nature is tasting other the more year, said resident Anna Kowalska, standing near the destroyed greenhouse.